Sidi, it's such an honor and pleasure to see you and to have this conversation and chat.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you very much. Really affected by your book. And in part, this whole thing, this reflections and this idea of, getting people together and talking, having a chat, in part is due to your book, because you were introducing these unbelievable people, saintly human beings that, one would assume lived 1,000 years ago or somewhere. You think you'd be reading, hearing about them. They existed, in the biblical times, as you also allude to in your book. This is the book, Signs on the Horizons. It's an incredible book. I recommend, I'm plugging it because I love it. I recommend everyone get it, check it out. It's a beautiful book. Incredible stories. One of the stories I really loved was the beggar.
Yes.
Could you talk about this? Was in Morocco, right? So you went to Morocco.
Yes, I went with a group of people like myself, and we
was
were.
This?
This was in about 1970, starting in 1973, I think, 72, 1973, and we went together, and I was completely clueless. I had just become a Muslim, and I really didn't know anything, to be honest, and. But associating with these people, coming into contact with them, completely transformed the way I looked at the world and looked at existence, because they didn't care about anything except remembering God. I've come to the conclusion that the only value that we have, that we can generate, is in our remembrance of God. إِلَّا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَأَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ. And in the remembrance of God, the heart becomes, the hearts become serene. And that was something that was very important to me. There were people when I was entering Islam who were saying, had all these very high aspirations, or they voiced those kinds of aspirations. And I remember saying, I just want peace. That's really what I want. I don't want to be disturbed. I want to attain a sense of peace. And the only way that I've ever had any access to peace is through remembrance. And if you think about it, everything in Islam it relates to dhikrullah. If you're making hajj,
yes,
and you're not remembering Allah, then you're just going through motions.
Yes.
If you're making the salat and you're not remembering Allah, then you're just bobbing up and down and doing physical rituals and things. So everything relates to remembrance of Allah.